Wow, you made it this far.
Well, you either like our videos or your favorite tennis player hasn't been covered yet. So this video is video number 3 from our Play Like Your Favorite Tennis Player course. This is a course that we're going to release very soon, and this is video number 3 from the course, so enjoy.
So in this video, we're going to talk about one of the best players in the world, a real legend, someone who's dominated on clay for the past 10-15 years, someone who is loved all around the world, and his main go-to shot is his forehand.
So Simon, tell us, who is it?
It's Rafa Nadal, of course, guys. You wanted it, and here it is. So Alex, you're known for having quite a big forehand, but what makes Rafael Nadal's forehand so deadly in your opinion?
Well, I think it's his movement around the ball. He gets into the right position, he really uses his legs, he's able to set up before the shot really well so he can uncoil and release all that power. He also has a really loose wrist and loose arm, so he really generates that shot like a whip.
Now by using this whip-like action on his forehand, he's able to generate massive topspin, which is another reason that he's got such a big forehand and it's so deadly.
Now he's not the hardest hitter on the ATP Tour, but certainly when the ball bounces, the work that's created off the court, the bite that he gets on the court, the ball bounces up into the opponent, is probably one of the most difficult to handle.
Now last year we went to Indian Wells ourselves, and one of the players that we were filming was Nadal, and we watched him hitting his inside in and inside out forehands. Now this was a ball that was landing inside the baseline and it was still rising when it hit the back fence.
Now you can imagine what it feels like for a player handling that shot. Imagine your opponent is hitting with such topspin that when it bounces up at you, and it actually creates more power, it creates more speed as it comes off the ground. Now you don't see that speed because the ball is traveling quite slow, but the moment the ball bites onto the court, the speed is almost unleashed off the ball. So the ball starts traveling faster off the court than when it's traveling to the opponent. This can catch a lot of people off guard, and it also gives Rafa a lot of consistency because he's able to generate topspin and really go for his shots where the balls are not going to go as fast, they're all going to land in, and he's still going to get that work off the court to push the opponent out of position.
Now if you think the two obstacles in tennis, firstly is the net, and secondly is hitting long or wide. Now by hitting that heavy topspin and by hitting quite high over the net, Rafa's taking those two obstacles out of the game, and this is why he has such a consistent forehand as well as a powerful one.
If you can imagine him playing on clay where the court surface is sometimes uneven, when the ball bounces sometimes he'll go a little bit more into the opponent or a little bit further away, and together with that extra topspin that he has, it becomes a deadly combination.
Now also being a lefty has helped Rafa massively throughout his career. You don't have to be a lefty to take advantage of his main tactic.
Now using your forehand in your matches should be one of your biggest strategies. That is, if your forehand is your weapon. For most of the players it is.
Now if you're a right-handed player, you can still use Rafa's strategy of hitting that forehand into the player's weaker side, which is for most players the backhand. This would be a forehand down the line.
When you do go down the line with that forehand, don't feel like you have to hit a winner there. Just because you're changing direction doesn't mean you have to win the point outright. Just by changing the direction, making your opponent move, will automatically give you a slight edge in the rally.
Now another thing that you can do with this down the line forehand is push the player back with good length and with good height and with good levels of topspin. This will help the ball still rise as your opponent's hitting it and hopefully give you an easier return off that shot.
Now remember, if you are going down the line, you have to be set up before the shot. You can't be doing this shot on the run or in a defensive situation, just like we covered in the Andy Murray breakdown in video number 2. You have to be set up, it has to be an aggressive shot. If you're being defensive, you have to go cross court where you don't have to recover as much. Remember, the recovery will be more if you go down the line. So you have to hit that down the line and start moving straight away. Also remember, you can give it a little bit more shape, a little bit more height. A lot of the players don't like the ball bouncing high on their backhand. So if you go down the line with a little bit more shape and height, one is you buy yourself some time, and two, you get that opponent hitting shots that don't necessarily like hitting over their shoulder. Now another great strategy is to use that inside out forehand, because when players get around that backhand, they open up the court because you have more angle to play around with. You can go hard into the opponent's backhand, and because they're expecting you to go there, sometimes they create a real gap to go back into their forehand and the inside in. And this is how Rafa wins a lot of his points. He gets around that backhand sometimes and he hits, although he can hit into the inside out forehand and hit it to the forehand side, and he creates that much spin that he gets the opponent out of position. Therefore the opponent is not able to cover sometimes their backhand, and so he can go inside in quite effectively. And if that player then chases that inside in, the shot that they hit would be then cross court, because they see that space that Rafa has just created for them. But that again plays into his hands, because now he's able to hit another forehand from that side, and then it becomes a forehand to backhand rally, which is so much loves.
Now in this forehand drill, I'm going to be feeding Alex forehands only on this side of the court. He's hitting that first shot cross court, and he's trying to break the singles line before the ball passes the baseline. So he's trying to get it into the tram lines prior to the ball passing the baseline. When he goes down the line on the second shot, he's trying to get the ball rising through the baseline, so it turns into an aggressive down the line shot.
Now this is going to work on my ability to get the opponent out of the court first, and then to hit that heavy shot into their weakness, which is their backhand, with my forehand. So I'm dominating play just like Rafa with my forehand, and it's a drill that you guys can use at home.
Cross court. Down the line. Cross court. Down the line.
Now in this variation, Simon's going to feed me balls into my backhand, and I'm going to run around and use my forehand from this side. Again, I'm trying to break the sideline, so breaking the singles line before the ball reaches the baseline, and when I'm going inside in into the forehand, I want the ball rising through the baseline to make sure that's a quality shot.
Inside out. Inside in. Good. Inside out. Yes. Inside in. Good.
Now let's do this in a live rally. Again, we're going to be going one cross court, one down the line. Simon's going to be hitting back to my forehand, and we're going to repeat the process until I'm comfortable with it.
Cross. Yep.
We can then repeat it on the ad side, where Simon's going to be feeding it into my backhand, and again I run around the backhand to hit that forehand inside out, and then the forehand inside in, rising through the baseline.
Inside out.
Now let's put it into points. Here I'm going to be using my forehand again to break the sideline with it, going on the wide shot, and then opening up into the backhand with my down the line. Then the point is live.
Yep. Good play.
Now we're going to do the same from the other side, where Simon's going to feed me a ball into my backhand. I'm going to run around, I'm going to open up with the forehand inside out into his backhand, and then use my inside in to start the point.
Sorry, Slav.
So here I'm going to try and control play with my forehand. I'm going to try and use the forehand to hit into Simon's backhand, and I'm not going to change until I feel the timing is right. So this could be when I see Simon committing to the backhand, like almost edging himself out there where he thinks I'm going to hit it back into his weakness and creating that space where I can go into the other side. It could also mean when I hit a really good forehand inside out and I see Simon really falling off the court, perhaps he's already outside the trams, or I feel like he's leaning to that side, again I can use my forehand inside in to get him out into the open space. So let's have a look at that in action. Now here again, when I am going to his forehand, I want to make sure there's going to be a good shot because I am being exposed on my forehand side. If he does get there, he's able to move the ball a lot wider, he's able to create the angle, and he's going to make me run. So when I do get that ball, I make sure I hit it. Now going inside in when I'm inside the court is also not such a bad idea. This puts me in a good position if I do follow it up with a volley, and also Simon doesn't have as much time to react to that ball. Now on that occasion I chose to go back inside out because I was pulled so wide out of the court. If I would have chosen to go down the line, he would have definitely punished me cross court. So I really would have had to hit a really good shot, which would have been very tough in that situation. Now again, moving inside out for that shot, because I have that angle, my inside out forehand becomes a lot more effective. So there again, I waited for my opportunity to go down the line. I wasn't impatient. I went cross court a few times. I went inside out a few times into his backhand until I saw an opening. I hit it with enough power, enough pace. He couldn't quite get there in time, and I won the point. Use that tactic in your matches. Don't feel like you have to change direction too often. You can use that inside out into their backhand, and you're going to be good for recovery because you don't have to get back quite to the middle. So you can keep going with that shot until they either find your backhand or they give you a more middle ball, which you can then attack and get them out of position.
Now Alex, in that situation, if I did go down the line, explain why you've got the upper hand in that kind of setup.
If Simon was to go down the line, I would be having a running forehand, yes, but then I would also be having a huge angle to hit my running forehand into. I'd be having a big space on the court, so if I did hit the ball cross court, Simon would be in a lot of trouble because he's gone down the line in a defensive situation because I'm the one being aggressive here. So he's gone down the line, he's switched play, and if he didn't quite give himself enough time with a loopy ball, if it just was a normal ball, he wouldn't have the time to recover and I'd be ahead in the point. He'd be running and then I'd get back to hitting my forehand inside out on the next shot.
Yeah.
And there, because Simon didn't get it quite cross enough, he had to cover a lot more of the court. So when I did go inside out, it almost became back behind him because he was trying to recover to cover the court so that I didn't catch him on that forehand cross court. And there you see, when Simon goes down the line, all I have to do is hit a pretty decent cross-court shot and he's in trouble. And there I even felt like I could come forward because I knew he was going to hit the ball up and it wasn't going to be a very powerful shot. So there I was happy to go back into the inside out forehand, but Simon again didn't get it cross court enough, so he ended up running a lot while I was controlling the middle with my forehand. Now you can use these tactics no matter the level that you are. The court's dimensions don't change, the angles don't change. If you go down the line too early, you're going to be exposed no matter what level. So use these tactics to get one better over your opponent.
Thank you so much for watching the video, guys, and we hope you learned something new in this video.
Try and use Rafa's technique and Rafa's topspin in your game and see how it goes. Perhaps it's going to be the difference between winning and losing.
And also make sure that you check out video 4 that will be released in the coming days. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure that you go over to our website and sign up for our emails, and we'll send you video number 4 as soon as we make it live. If you're already on our email list, we'll email you the video in the coming days. All the best, guys, and see you soon.